So what we're going to do is we're going to take the major and minor stuff we've been working with, right? The pentatonics, mix a little more major sounding, but make those arpeggios. Woo, that big word, right? This big, scary, sweeping word. And we're going to kind of format them more in a blues context and see, you know, different ways you can approach that stuff. So below, lately there's been a ebook that goes over the scales and that kind of stuff, different chords, where you can see how all this stuff will work together. So definitely click that link below, get the free ebook down there, and that'll show you, you know, the basic pentatonics, some chords, you know, all that great stuff Marty's always got for you. So other than that, let's zoom in for a closer look. All right, so we've been mixing major and minor together a lot recently. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw arpeggios on the top of that. Now, they don't have to be those sweeps, you know, Yngwie Malmsteen ripping killer arpeggios we all know and love, right? And if you don't know who that is, hard to spell the name, but terrifying guitar playing. But point is, they do a lot of swept arpeggios, right? We're not going to do a sweep. We're going to keep it in a blues context and use slides and string skipping rather than sweep picking to do our arpeggios, so we stay in that blues format or context, right? So what we're going to do, right? It doesn't even have to be fast either, right? I played that slower than in the opening, but you can totally do it that speed as well. It's still an arpeggio, and we've still taken major and minor, fused them together, and ended up with something cool with some string skips. You know, lots of different stuff we can work on. So we've taken 5th fret, hammered onto the 7th fret of the E string, and slide up to the 9th fret. Then what I'm going to do is sweep 2 strings, 2 downstrokes. It's going to be 7th fret of the A and the D. Then I'm going to hammer on to the 9th fret of the D and slide up to the 11th fret. Now I'm going to grab the B string, 10th fret, back to the 11th fret D, back to the 10th fret B, and slide down. And then I'm going to go, right? And what I did there is I hit the 7th fret of the B, bent up a half, and back down. So we got. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. So I've slid from 9 to 7 on the G, pull off to 5, hammer on to 6. Right? So we're still outlining that A chord. Right, now I'm going to go. So I pulled off 7 to 5. And then I went 7A, 7D, A, and then back to D5. Now I'm going to go down chromatically 3 notes on the A string and slide 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this finger. Well, let's go over it all together. So we got. And then what I do is I drop down 1 string to the D string, and I put my 2nd finger onto the 5th fret G, and I slide up 1 fret. I hit them both together. And that's getting us back into that A sound, right? With a little funkifigian on the top. Right? So that's, you know, a blues arpeggio basically. We've done this arpeggio part of it. We've done a little slide. And we just resolved back in our mixing major and minor. Now you can take that same idea and do a full. Right? More traditional. Right, and go back into blues. Now if you want to do something more like that, what I did was I hammered, bigger stretch, we go 5 to 9, and then we do the same kind of thing where we go down to the 7th fret of the D, or the A and the D. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the A chord down here. I'm going to go 9 on the G, 10 onto the B, 9 onto the E, which is our A chord. And then I'm going to pull off 12 to 9 and then go backwards. Right? So that I'm going same chord, right? And I went 9, 7, 6. So we're back into that A sound. And then I'm just going back on the chord. And that's going to be 7 on the D, 7 on the A. So same slide we did in the first riff, and then you can do. Right? Any of that kind of stuff. So those are just ideas, right? Those are on the lower strings. We can do higher string ideas as well, concentrating more on the bottom 3 strings and then resolving maybe to the A chord up here. So let's go over one of those ideas. All right, so that's kind of the Carl Verheyen approach to arpeggios. Just an awesome LA session, god on guitar. If you haven't heard of him, he's awesome too. Check him out. But it's kind of his idea or his spin on arpeggios, just an idea I saw him do and then I kind of tweaked my own way. We're taking out of position 1 and 2 of minor pentatonic, A minor. Right, so this is basically, or position 2 alone. Right, so we got 7 to 9, and then we got 8 to 10, G string, B string, and then we're going to hammer on to our A third again, right? So that's going to be 8 to 9, so we got, and then I'm going to pull off 10 to 8, right? And then I'm going to do that same slide thing we did in the last one. So I got, now all I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to jump up to the 14th fret. I'm going to bend basically into a suspended 4th, right? And then I'm going to go 12 on the B, 12 on the G, hammer on, slide up to 16, pull off to 14. Right, you can go all the way down to the A chord. You're just doing A major pentatonic. Right? So you can take those ideas, those string skipping, right? These kind of, right? You're just outlining chords by doing that. G, A. And take those other ideas where we've mixed major and minor together, and you can get all sorts of different runs. You can do those, right? And then, so you can take those big arpeggio sounding ones. And just think of different ways to get and resolve back to A, right? We can start right? So I'm taking the ending ideas, that slide, I like that sound. I like the ending and resolving of the way that second riff went, but I'm getting into it a different way. So just take those different ideas, those, you know, 3 or 4 ideas, tweak them. Don't be afraid to skip strings, slide. Right, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to jump to notes and see if I can figure out a way to resolve on the fly. And that's what I do. I just sit around and tweak on those notes. Right? And just kind of come up with different variants on the same riff. And that way you're taking, you know, 3 or 4 ideas like we did in the last couple lessons, and you're just expanding upon those ideas, right? You're using the same way to get into them or whatever, but you're tweaking them just a little bit to where they become their own riff. You may end up in another spot on the neck, and now you can do a whole another, you know, group of riffs or whatever. But you're taking the basic idea, hitting those chord tones, and figuring out a way to get from here down to here, you know, whether it's sliding or string skipping or what have you, and just kind of tweaking the notes and staying in that blues format, but you can still do string skipping and sliding and all that cool, fun, shreddy kind of stuff and still sound, you know, like you're playing blues. So give that a shot.